And it is Wednesday. You've been waiting all week, all year, possibly for this if you just watched one a year ago and came back, which is really weird. Welcome back to Trekyards Mission Briefing, your weekly dose of Star Trek review, discussion, first look, theorization, for a full episode later on down the line. Hi Stuart, how you doing? What are we doing today?
I'm not so good today, I'm sorry, Samuel.
Oh.
I have struck a gravitic mine and I've lost all power. Hull is penetrated, life support system's failing. Can you assist us, Trekyards? Can you assist us?
Stuart, you're on the other side of the neutral zone. I can't without risking threat, and I don't believe in a no-win scenario, so I'm not gonna... You're screwed, man.
Ah, thanks, man.
Welcome.
Today we are looking at the Kobayashi Maru as done by Thomas Maroney for Star Trek Online for their Kobayashi Maru scenario that they released not that long ago. I was actually lucky enough to see this in a couple days before the release because we were hanging out with Thomas Maroney and Ticonderoga, and I was blown away by it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's very similar to what we've seen from John Eve's concept art with the X-Wing design, and there's the other one as well. Yeah. And if you haven't checked that out, there's our Trekyards concept show where we talked to John about those, and it was really a great episode, that one. So. Yeah. But Thomas has kind of brought it into his own and created this, and I love it. So I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, my first seeing this ship, and I'll do first reaction, was over Thomas Maroney's shoulder while showing Michael Okuda. That was my first look of this ship.
I'd seen it before that when we went for breakfast at McDonald's. We were still sleeping.
But I was seeing it over the shoulders of Thomas Maroney and Michael Okuda. It's pretty good. So I got to be part of that conversation, which was nice. Yeah, and obviously this shape has existed, and it was also in a novel as well that I know John took inspiration from. But Thomas has done some really great other things, and used the canon, almost canon, but double canonized it. It's an awful way of saying it. But he is amazing he understands ship design. He really, really does. He understands and respects the continuity. And this he wanted to, as we try and do with Trekyards Originals, fit in right like a glove. So what was your first reaction to the ship? And I'll give my first reaction then.
Like I said, I was just blown away. I mean, the fact that it kind of holds true to John's concepts. Yep. It looks very similar to the one in the JJ movies as well. It's got the same kind of layout, but it was brought to that movie era, aesthetic, and it looks very much like an upside-down Miranda. This is how the Miranda might have looked if it had gone through with the original concept sketches with the engines on top, which is a neat tie-in as well, kind of respecting the old concepts and things like that. So I was blown away by it. I love the addition of the cargo doors and all of the stuff on it. It's great. Yeah,
that's the big... But there's some great back details, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, without those doors, it's very much a kit bash in a sense, just nicely integrated. But having that to say, right, we are a darn cargo ship, so we can literally build... That implies almost like a lot of the source, which is cargo space. Yeah. And it's a cargo ship. Why on earth wouldn't you? I love that. It's such a... Not realistic. It's such a everyday detail. Like, we need the doors. Okay, put the doors in. Run-of-the-mill detail, but such a unique way.
Yeah. Now I got a question for you. What do you think ECS stands for? Because I know.
Isn't that the same though as Enterprise? Aren't they the same ships? Yes, indeed. I just went back to my files, and it is ECS Fortune and ECS Horizon. I know we've talked about this, and you knew in the episode as well.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Cargo supply. It's Einsteinian Cargo Supply Limited.
How about Earth Cargo Ship?
Damn.
Super simple. I'd completely forgotten that the Enterprise ones have that, and I saw it and I asked Thomas, and that's what he told me. I'm like, of course, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So.
But it's really interesting. It's only 1,022. And if we take the idea of registries being timeline, then yeah. But this is obviously not a USS, which I love the fact that this you can a cargo consortium can't build as many cargo ships. Obviously, it's not they're not there to explore; they're there to do certain runs. So I love the idea that we're at 2,000 on the Excelsior. If again talk about that, we're only at 1,000 on cargo ships. But obviously they took some inspiration from the Miranda class.
Yeah.
So by the Voyager again, if that's the rule, it's like ECS only 3,200, and it's like so way less.
So
Yes. Okay.
I'm just trying to move to the next picture because I know we have a size chart, and I would assume that this ship is very likely the same size as a Miranda class. Just looking at the size of the nacelles and and the basic configuration of the primary hull here, I would assume that it's pretty much exactly the same as a Miranda class.
So obviously, disclaimer, guys, I like to do scale renders, and for the most part, I use real models as to make that as accurate as possible. For this one, he told me the scale, and I had a top view that he gave me, Thomas Maroney, these are direct from him, and I try to get it just about as right as possible in Photoshop after the fact, based on some other little clever usages. But Stuart, the next picture, and we have the real runabout, which I thought would be an interesting for the cargo pods to see how big they are compared to a shuttle, because you can really see and understand how big those are. The Excelsior, the Connie, and the Miranda. So yeah, very the scale of the Miranda, although actually a smidge less.
Smidge smaller as far as saucer diameter goes. Well, I would assume they would have to build a whole new saucer module for this one anyway, and not really use components, that were similar to them. Like they couldn't use the same hull from the Miranda just thrown over here. You got to convert it all to cargo spaces. I'm sure the saucer is very much laid out differently because of that. So yeah, I can see it.
My assumption is that there's probably dry docks, either Utopia Phoenicia or Around Earth, that are both consortiums, and when they were doing a big Miranda construct, the ECS guys said, hey, can those work bees also build us, after you build 10 space frames, just a basic, like, girders of the outside of frame, can you build us 10 too? And then from just the girder frame, they then, slimmed it down a smidge, and then built from there. So I think it's a very similar, just girder frame, and then from that point they kept tweaking, because it's obviously very similar in terms of pieces. But yeah, the what's interesting is it actually defies a bit, because the bridge module obviously is the bridge module, but that cargo area, it actually takes up a lot of room. They've really extended that. It changes the angle of those internal pieces for the Miranda, makes them really thin, gives it a different feel as well.
Yeah, and one thing that interests me is the 1 and 2 labeled on that, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later.
Hadn't even noticed that, Stuart. Wow.
On the Miranda, they're at the back, and they're actually shuttle bay doors. This, I would assume, are more of loading platforms, perhaps, that lower, and then you can... The cargo that went in the front doors there could perhaps be all pushed off onto the pad, raised up, and then taken out by work bees or whatever. Would be my assumption. I don't know exactly how Thomas had that planned out. It would be interesting to talk to him about that, because...
And I have booked him for that, so we will. He really wants to. But then Vegas happened and we couldn't. And it's interesting because it's... I hadn't noticed that because, in fact, if you look at the classic Miranda, there are those component pieces which are greebly. So by having that darker element, you visually sense the continuity, but actually then you look, oh no, it's actually just docking hatches. That's a clever way of linking it in with the previous one, stylistically, but being functionally radically different. And I can imagine that being docking things come in, they raise up, and then the gravity gets taken away and they get pushed out. And as they're further for the hull, then work bees just pick them up and, would be a really fun way of doing it. But this ship, I mean, how do you make a cargo ship? I'm loving everything I'm seeing so far. And in comparison to I thought it was very important with the runabout, because that is big enough to dock into the pods, and you can imagine the ship also still exists possibly in TNG era when runabouts are around, so still works perfectly well for those sizes. You couldn't have that fit into the front doors, but again, that's a bigger shuttle than other shuttles at the time, but you could fit normal shuttles. And my assumption is you could probably fit, if you look at the shuttle bay of the refit, you could fit a Star Trek 5 shuttle just neatly back up into those doors, unload the cargo, then launch again. No manoeuvring room, but a neat little dock and undock would be really kind of cool, actually.
And speaking of runabouts, if you want to go to the next picture, it's another size comparison of the sides of the ship.
It's funny, I was surprised by a second that I made the damn shot. You were surprised. That's really great. Sorry, continue.
And we still have the runabout here, but I was looking for it for a second. I'm like, he forgot to put the runabout in, but no, he didn't. It's between the Kobayashi Maru and the Enterprise, right above the nacelle there. So, I mean, it looks a lot bigger from the top, but that's just because, yeah.
Scales are pretty different when you change the perspectives.
Yeah. So it also looks like there's still the typical Miranda class or style shuttle bays on this ship as well, which I would assume were just for the standard shuttles that could fit in there. It could also be used for cargo as well, I would assume. So, but I'm sure we're going to have a rear view later, so we can talk about that.
Yeah, my assumption is it was, how do we take the workhorse of the fleet, turn it into a cargo ship? You know, so it's the base design, but with those new bays at the top. But I mean, again, look at the runabout. So each container is roughly the size of a runabout, actually, which is a good auxiliary craft size. That's quite a lot of cargo. I mean, to be fair, you could probably... I mean, how cool would it be, just like in a BSG episode, when you have 6 runabouts docked? That's how you transport runabouts to the space station. You just dock them in, and then they just detach.
Yeah.
And although I was thinking in the last picture, wouldn't it be cool having like a medical rescue vessel? You put as I said at the start, you put a shuttle in each of those docking bays at the front, but you keep them docked. As soon as you warp into an environment, you can then launch 5 shuttles from the front, several from behind. You can land medical personnel and beam other people on board. It could be a very, very functional craft to have this many shuttle bays.
Those pods at the bottom are detachable from the struts, so you can detach the whole pod, load them on planet side or in orbit, and then have the ship come pick the whole pod up instead of having the ship having to wait to load those pod modules in. So yeah, you could have different pod modules, much like the Ptolemy class cruisers from TOS. You could have military ones. You could have ones that are dedicated hospitals. So each side could have its own hospital like strip, and perfect for medical evacuation.
Just triage units.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant, actually. I love it. Yeah, function. I love the function, when you can do different functions. There's one other thing I was trying to... and one small thing about this ship. Obviously, you can see the classic Connie. You can see how the colours are different. It has that little strip of... In the Connie refit, it's blue, but in this one, it's yellow. Do you think that's specially for cargo? Because it actually kind of stands out more.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. Yeah, definitely a different purpose. So visually, just without doing sensors or whatever, you can see that it's not a military Starfleet ship. It's more of a
it's cargo branded
civilian cargo. Yeah.
But the next picture is a bottom at 3/4, and again, these are all provided by Thomas. So thank you so much for helping us out once again. Very Miranda-y, but it looks like it has legs. It's the way they're formatted. It's like it's like snow legs. And the inside of the outside of the connecting points with the pods are standard white. The inside's dark for some reason, painted. That's weird. I don't think that's lit differently. I think it's actually just dark, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Judging by the edge of the saucer, I think it might just be lighting. But
weird.
Yeah. Cool shot. I love those pods. I love the idea of having different pods that are even different lengths, or like the Ptolemy again, being able to attach different pods, like a train of them behind.
Just like in Enterprise, both those cargo ships have the ability to do different ones. I love those little windows in the middle of those as well. It's like they're people. I mean, to be fair, if you're even hiring these out to private corporations, then the people who own the cargo, who are watching it, stay in those pods. Maybe the guy that runs the corporation's in the bridge with the crew, and the crew's doing their own thing. Neat.
Yeah. So go to the next picture. It's a shot of it from the top.
Now do you start to see something different about this Miranda?
Well, the fact that it's got the Soyuz class module at the back, which I noticed from the side as well. Yeah. But again, there's actually a landing pad there and a shuttle bay in the middle.
Well, if you go to the next picture, Stuart, that's a better indicator. We can jump back. Yes, again, Thomas said to make it even more unique, let's double up with the Soyuz to even more functional space. And now it has 1, 2, and also 1, 2, and then 3 for bays. So very, very, very heavy shuttle and work being cargo, even to the primary array.
Well, it makes sense, right? And here too, it says USS Kobayashi Maru on the back of those pods. This view makes me think that maybe those pods are not detachable, and they are specific to the ship. But I like the functionality and the ability to detach those at that upper strut point. I think that would be much more functionality that way.
Well, there's clearly a separation plane I mean,
Yeah.
but think about it, though, if they're transporting trilithium, as we know is very dangerous, I mean, you need a separation plane just to explosive bolts it away so you can get away from the possible explosion. I mean, who knows what it'll be carrying? But I agree completely. You need to have the ability to plug and play. I mean, it depends. If this is being privately owned, I mean, you might go back to the dock where this is harboured, and you've got like 4 or 5 different versions of these bottom pods, different lengths, and you just, the company, whoever's hiring them to move cargo or whatever, just says, well, we only need this one. Okay, we'll have a smaller one so we can have a bigger warp bubble, or a bigger one. So just you buy several pod configurations.
Yeah, or just equate it to trucking. I mean, a lot of truckers have their cab and their own trailer that they load and unload.
Exactly.
Other truckers just have the cab that they go and pick up other trailers and drop the trailer off, and then pick up another one. So they always have a different trailer on board. So yeah, it could be that. You could equate it to that as well. So.
Question though.
Yes.
What do you think about having those impulse engines there and only these teeny impulse engines? Because I ever thought about
that. For the era and the time that this is supposed to take place in, I think it's totally appropriate.
Okay, yes. But
yeah, the ship like the Constitution has basically that size. Yeah. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I just that it seems... It's a slow ship. I mean, I feel like they would want to put in more impulse drives. If you're going to add this extra section like the Soyuz, double down impulse engines, give it that ability to actually maneuver because of all the extra mass you're dragging.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely modify that module to be whatever you want. So,
or even have that entire bottom strip be 100% impulse engines, kind of like the JJ Prize from Into Darkness.
Yeah,
like one long strip would be at least there's more punch. Well, if you go to the top view again of that exact thing, there's two lightsabers at the top.
They do look like lightsabers, yeah.
Yeah. The next view is a bottom. Now I will say, to impulse engines, do you think those back of the pods are impulse engines?
I would say yes, absolutely.
That fixed my problem with that, because that's actually quite a clever idea.
See, and it makes the detachable aspect of them interesting as well, because they got the windows at the front. You could have like a little command module, detach the pod, and actually pilot the pod into where you need it, a space dock or a docking bay. I mean, if the pod is owned by the person that's shipping the cargo, they might want to do that. Just have us attached to your ship, warp us into our system, and then we're going to detach and take all of our cargo.
Yeah.
There you go. All you need is the impulse. So, yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
Cool. Might not be, but I like it.
Yeah. Next shot is the front view, and here we got kind of the first thing I see. It looks like it's from a Cars movie because it looks like there's 2 little eyes in the bottom of the bridge module. And anyway, nothing really much to talk about. It's simply a Miranda-style ship with cargo pods on the bottom. I mean,
good summation, Stuart.
I know, right?
It does look
well
weird.
thought out, these mission briefings.
It does look weird though without the torpedo module. Like we always associate it with it.
Yeah.
Having just the 4... Well, I'd love to see a 4 nacelle variant, like a Stargazer version. Just plug on 4 nacelles, like the vast version. It'd be kind of fun to see.
Absolutely.
Next picture is a back view. Again, not much to say, just cool to see. Want to represent it as best it can be. And again, could be in positions, we don't know. A back, maybe.
Next picture is a view from the bottom, and this is very cool. This I really like. I love seeing the different cargo modules they've got in there. They're not the same. They're not uniform. It's whatever they needed to fit in is fit in. Some are liquid containers. Some are bulk containers for whatever. So
some have self-steering stem bolts. Some have grain. Some have a
Canar. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. Brilliant.
Or tar or gold. Or, black gold oil. I don't know. Same thing.
Although, quick question to you, because you know the Connie better than I do.
Yeah.
The bottom view of the saucer, I know it's a Miranda, but obviously they're all based in the same era, has more red stripes and such than, has more coloured striping than a Connie or a Miranda?
It's got, no, but those red stripes, there's 2 going up to the registry. That's supposed to be the same on all of them. but it's got like the yellow around and the lower sensor dome is completely different. It doesn't have the 4 things sticking out like the Constitution or the Miranda does. Do you know what I mean? So it's missing that detail, which makes it unique.
But do you see? Looks like lots of doors, lots of hatch doors all throughout.
Yeah, those are.
There's 2 on the Connie. Are there this many on the Connie though?
Not that many, no, because there's 2 extra ones at the front here, and some bigger ones as well. And we know that those are actually doors that retract, and then there's like a airlock there, so you can dock a travel pod or even whatever. So probably just more cargo loading capabilities.
Great, awesome.
Yeah.
Next picture is the top. Looks great. It's quite a long. Well, it's also a very long ship, but it changes the profile, changes the feel of the ship a lot, but still stays perfectly Federation. Actually, the model's very well done. Like, I know STO has a limited amount of polygons and stuff they can use, but or the TMP texturing just holds up, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Really, just the look, just
Yeah, and the Aztecing he's got there is very nice. It's got a pearlescent look to it. So
I know that they both, Thomas did the refit and Donnie the Miranda based on the refit, so it's kind of those together made those. So thanks Thomas and Donnie for getting all this together, adding these era ships to the game.
And the last shot is the one we'll end off on because it's another 3/4 shot, so we don't have to go back to our first shot, which we usually do. I think this is kind of a cool one to end on. Fantastic design. Thomas did a great job with it. So again, thank you to all the guys at Star Trek Online for bringing these new ships to kind of our bringing them to the fans. I mean, the Agents of Yesterday got a lot of new TOS designs, which was fantastic to see because I thought everything had been done. But to have that TOS aesthetic with new ships is absolutely a fantastic treat. And this is the same thing. I mean, this is a movie era ship. We never really saw the Kobayashi Maru, and it's great to actually have one in front of us now that we can look at and talk about. So thank you to Thomas Maroney and everybody at Star Trek Online.
And it feels right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The one last thing to note, only one set of phasable turrets at the top, no side turrets. Oh.
Wow, that's interesting, actually.
Although lots of pod, also if it was a JJ verse, lots of pod doors for pulse phases, but they're not. You can see they're not hatches; they're just details.
Well, those are all over the Constitution class. Yeah. So.
But only 2 phase. But there is a little phasable turret on the back of the ship. I saw it in a previous picture. But yeah, not well armed. So tread wisely with a Kobayashi Maru. Otherwise, you might, in fact, get blown up. And get your fellow Starfleet crew blown up, as this ship apparently does every day. Because we've got to experience fear in a no-win scenario that everyone knows you can't win, which is a bad scenario if everyone knows the outcome. But okay, cool.
But anyway, guys,
yes,
Trekyards is not a no-win scenario. We actually produce daily content almost for you guys to enjoy for free, and the way we do that is by having some help from you guys. Yes. You can head over to trekyards.com and click the donate button. Just do a one-time donation if you want to give us like a tip of $10. That'd be great. Or if you want to support us on a monthly basis, much like a subscription service, you can definitely do that by clicking the Patreon link down below and just giving 5, 10, 15, whatever, how much you want a month to contribute towards us working on the show and providing you with all this free, amazing content.
Yeah, or just share the news, the good news of Trekyards, and anyway, I think Trek fans would enjoy this sort of content because we do STO, we do Canon, we do JJ, we do Discovery, we do all this broad range of stuff, and we're doing lots of Discovery analysis videos if you want to know all about the new show. So help us to help you to get more information. So until next time, guys, another great video, or at least we hope so. We haven't filmed it yet, unless we have. Depends when this comes out. Depends when this comes out because we film a lot of stuff. I am Commander Coggins.
I'm still Captain Foley.
Mm.
And we'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.